This story, however, is going to go on for quite a while, and that is where we bring in Tanner Hesterberg. He's live in Louisville, breaking down the board's decision to fire Rick Pitino. Tanner?
Good evening, Brian. Rick Pitino might have been absent from today's hearing, but his legal team was certainly here, and they laid out this lengthy defense for why Pitino should not be terminated, at least just yet. It's a defense that ultimately was ineffective. And Postal went on to acknowledge that Pitino might very well end up suing the school for breach of contract, but he also confirmed what many U of L fans have been dreading to hear, that the university is moving on without Rick Pitino. Reporting live in Louisville, Tanner Hesterberg. Brian, back to you.
WKYT's Tanner Hesterberg joins us now live from the airport with the breaking details. Tanner?
Saban, Amber, good evening. We are still waiting for that plane carrying Eric C. Kahn to touch down here at Bluegrass Airport. Meanwhile, officials with the FBI are taking a victory lap that he's coming back to American soil to face justice on those escape charges. And just when Kahn will face a judge again exactly is unknown right now, but the FBI is telling us that he was arrested without incident, and we heard from an airport representative just a few moments ago who said a rough ballpark guess right now for the time his plane will be landing here at Bluegrass Airport is around 6:30. Reporting live in Lexington, Tanner Hesterberg, WKYT. Well, that's right, Barb and Bill. About an hour from now, Eric C. Kahn will face a judge for the first time since arriving back on American soil. It's been a busy past 4 days for Eric Kahn. Let's recap it for you quickly. The FBI said Saturday authorities captured him in Honduras in the city of Los Ceiba while he was eating at a Pizza Hut. Then he was, of course, flown back to the United States and landed at Bluegrass Airport in Lexington last night. As he was being led away, he appeared to say, "It's good to be home." And home detention is where he escaped 6 months ago by cutting off his ankle monitor and fleeing. That came after he pleaded guilty in connection to that massive Social Security fraud scheme. Now, Kahn's attorney, Scott White, spoke to us last night, and he said his client probably should have heeded his advice and turned himself in months ago. Now, Kahn has already pleaded guilty and been sentenced in connection to that fraud scheme to 12 years in prison and ordered to pay millions of dollars in restitution. His attorney saying that today, Kahn will likely enter the standard not guilty plea. Reporting live in Lexington, Tanner Hesterberg, WKYT.
WKYT's Tanner Hesterberg joins us live now with more from the fans. Tanner?
Sam and Barb, around 30 degrees right now here in Nashville. Quite frankly, it feels a lot colder than that with those wind chills. In fact, there was a funny moment earlier today. A fan came up to me and joked that he heard they were going to build a dome here on Nissan Stadium for the game tomorrow to try to trap some of that heat in to make the temperatures a little less miserable for the fans who are down here. But you know what? They're having a good time, and even though that's not going to happen tomorrow, UK fans are finding ways to beat the cold. State officials want to demolish and replace not only the Capitol Tower and nearby Fountain Place shops, but also the Frankfurt Convention Center, 2 parking garages and overpasses, all in an effort to make the new buildings better fit in with the fabric of downtown Frankfurt. If you happen to be out driving when the eclipse happens, you might be tempted to pull over on the shoulder of the road and park to watch the sky. But transportation officials say it's best to keep driving and find a safer spot away from traffic to enjoy this historic event. Despite the EHD outbreak, this past weekend was a record breaker for Kentucky hunters. Officials here at the Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources say hunters harvested 2,026 deer during the first 3 days of bow season. That breaks the previous record of 1,746 set last year. Just to give you an idea of the path of that stray bullet, it entered the home right here and came out here in the sidewall of the back bedroom. It then traveled across the room, where, as you can see, it hit this sidewall and exited outside. Then it continued from this home over and through a neighbor's home. Luckily, it never hit anybody. Lutz was locked here in the back of the constable's cruiser while he and police inspected the scene of the truck crash nearby. They say he destroyed the panel on the door and then somehow got the window open just enough to escape.
And people getting injured.
So which roads in Lexington are police monitoring the most? They tell us heavily congested roads like New Circle, Versailles Road, and Richmond Road are where they're focusing patrols. Deputies say the suspected burglars put duct tape over the lens of a security camera to try and prevent their crime from being recorded. Sam and Amber, a lot of talk tonight about the possibility of white nationalists coming here to Lexington to protest Mayor Jim Gray's push to relocate 2 Confederate statues, including one behind me of John Breckinridge. If that happens, if they decide to show up, the mayor and police chief are sending a clear message tonight. They'll be ready. Chief Barnard also saying tonight that Lexington police are working with law enforcement officials on the state and national levels to develop one operational plan and one incident command system to keep everyone as safe as possible should those white nationalists decide to show up here in Lexington. Reporting live in downtown Lexington, Tanner Hesterberg, WKYT.
I thought I was going to die.
Scary moments instead of celebration for Debbie Dunaway and her husband.
It hit me hard.
They were relaxing on their boat on the Kentucky River in Beattyville, watching fireworks fill the sky, when suddenly they were filled with terror.
It felt like somebody had took a big hammer and hit me as hard as they could in the back of the head.
But it was no hammer or firework, as Debbie first suspected, but a stray bullet piercing her head.
I said, get me an ambulance to the boat dock quick.
Debbie went to a nearby hospital and then on to UK, where doctors safely removed the bullets, amazed one this big didn't cause more damage.
The doctors and nurses took it all around and showed everybody.
And they told Debbie the bullet nearly struck her brainstem.
A little bit more, just an inch more, and that could have been it.
Debbie tells us her close call here on the water is actually the second miracle of her life. 6 years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer and beat it.
And I'm only 54 years old.
Wow.
So you know, I'm just blessed.
And she hopes her latest experience shows people why it's important to handle guns with care, because the smallest mistake can make a deadly difference. In Lee County,
It was scary.
Tanner Hesterberg, WKYT.
Well, you don't know what to do with all this celebrity status, do you?
Johnny Baber's dog, Daisy, is having her day.
She's got a good luck charm.
But Monday night, she found herself in a tight spot. Daisy ran into this pipe under the street.
We called for her, went to the pipe, tried to get her out, not moving. So that's when we kind of went into the panic mode.
Daisy was stuck, so Johnny and his wife began calling people to help get her out. Friends and neighbors showed up, and so did the Sharpsburg Volunteer Fire Department, led by Chief Bobby Treadway.
We used vinyl siding, we used extensions for tree trimmers. We've done everything trying to reach back in there to unwedge the dog.
Folks brought their own shovels and equipment to help dig Daisy out. Do you think you were more scared than she was?
I don't know. I'd say it's a toss-up, Tanner.
They worked for several hours and had to cut away part of the road, but finally, Daisy was freed. Baber says after Daisy was rescued, she did something pretty amazing. She's normally a shy dog, but she went up to almost every person gathered here to help her, as if to thank them.
That was as friendly as she's been in a long time. I believe she was very appreciative of what everybody done.
And even though Daisy's owners had pause for concern, they learned how far this community will go to lend a hand.
Everybody just came together in my time of need, our time of need, and helped. And that's what it's all about.
In Bath County, Tanner Hesterberg, WKYT.